I'd like to take a moment to share with you what I believe was a great conversation with a new client of mine. It's my hope that what I shared with him is a help to you the way it was to him. He's 38 years old. He is a chef and a widower, single father of 2 children. He came to me, he said, "Doc, I've been following your content for some time and wanting to get on your schedule because I'm really having a hard time managing my family." I said, "What do you mean, sir? Your children?" He said, "No, my extended family." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, they've always been very dependent on me. I've always been the problem solver for my parents and my aunts and uncles. My business has been very successful as a chef. And when my wife died, I really felt overwhelmed, and I have not been able to convince them that I cannot carry what I'm dealing with and carry what they're dealing with at the same time." He said, "Well, frankly, if I'm being honest, I have attempted to have conversations, but typically when I get pushback or when I get resistance, I just abort the conversation and just try to help in whatever way that I can." I said, "What's some of this pushback about? What type of pushback?" He said, "Typically I'm guilt tripped and I'm told, that everything is about family and that I should always put family first. Now that my wife has passed, I've even been told that my extended family, along with my children, should be priority." And he said, "On the surface, Doc, if I'm being honest, it sounds like it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?" I said, "Well, I think it depends on your perception of family and your perception of putting you first." He said, "Well, then, Doc, then I struggle with this a lot." He said, "Because I do believe that blood is thicker than water, that we should hold on to our family and do everything that we can for them to the extent that we can do it." I said, "To the extent that we can do it?" He said, "Yes, sir. We should do everything that we can to the extent that we can." I said, "And then what happens when extent runs out?" He said, "I guess I end up in this situation right now." I said, "That means you have to make a choice, correct?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "So you think blood is thicker than water, correct?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "You're a chef. Do you have some extra supplies, cooking supplies that you can get rid of?" He said, "I do." I said, "Well, I'm going to call out a couple of things that I want you to do, and I want you to do it in front of me on the screen." He said, "Oh, that's odd." I said, "Go get a picture, and I want you to fill it up with water." He came back on the screen. He showed me. I said, "Sir, the water is your life, and your goal is to do what?" He said, "Doc, I have no idea." I said, "Your goal is to keep the water clean. If the water is your life, your goal is to keep that water clean, correct?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Do you have any food coloring?" He said, "I do." He left the screen, got some blue food coloring. I said, "I want you to put about 3 or 4 drops in there." He put it in there. I said, "Were those drops enough to change the complexity of all of the water?" He said, "No, sir." I said, "Cool." I said, "You got any sugar?" He said, "I do." I said, "Go get it." Left the screen. He went and grabbed a container of sugar. He said, "You want me to put it in?" I said, "Sure." He said, "How much?" I said, "Do 3 or 4 scoops." He had a big scooper. He put 3 or 4 scoops in there. I said, "You got a spoon?" He said, "I do." I said, "I want you to stir it." He started stirring it. I said, "What's happening to the sugar?" He said, "It's dissolving." I said, "What's happening to the food color?" He said, "That's basically almost gone." I said, "Perfect." I said, "Do you have any flour?" He said, "I do." I said, "Perfect. Go get it." He went and got the flour. I said, "Now, I want you to take the flour and I want you to put 3 to 4 scoops of flour in that water." He put the scoops of flour in the water. He started smiling. I said, "Now take that same spoon and I want you to stir it." I said, "What's happening?" He said, "It's getting harder to stir, Doc." I said, "Do you know why?" He said, "I really do." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I keep adding things to the water." I said, "And how are you going to get the water back to its original form?" He looked puzzled. He said, "I should know this answer, but it ain't coming to me, but I already see where you're going." I said, "You're going to get it back to its original form by flushing it out with more water. You're either going to need a bigger pot or a bigger pitcher, and you're going to need to pour more water, because eventually when you pour more water back into the water, what happens to the stuff you added so far?" He said, "It goes away." I said, "That's symbolic of pouring back into you. We all have the ability to receive from others, including our family. But when you take too much and you have not replenished the water yourself, then yourself ends up getting drowned out." This man began to cry, tears coming down his face. He was getting very emotional. I said, "This is where most people like you actually live, who say blood is thicker than water. You keep pouring flour into the water." I said, "But that ain't enough. I got to make sure this point hits home." I said, "What else do you have in your kitchen?" He said, "Man, I got a whole lot of other seasonings. I said, I don't want that. I said, what kind of glasses do you have? He said, I got regular glasses, cocktail glasses. I said, you got a shot glass? He said, I do. I said, get it. I said, I want you to put the shot glass in the water. He put it in there. He grabbed a spoon. I said, no. That's the problem. You're trying to mix in something that is impossible to mix with the water. And I said, that's what you look like in your life when you allow your family to add things to you that you can't handle. I said, don't touch the spoon, but let's make it worse. I said, you got on socks? He said, I do. I said, do you mind taking one of them off? He took it off. I said, I want you to take that sock, loosen it up. I said, and drop the sock in the water. He put the sock in the water. I said, now I want you to take your spoon and I want you to stir the water. He said, Doc, that makes no sense. I said, no. Stir the water. He put the spoon in the water in the pitcher and started stirring. I said, what's happening? He said, nothing. I said, why? He said, because this sock in this glass is not going to dissolve in this water, and neither is the flour. I said, sir, the only way you're going to get rid of that sock and glass is what? He said, well, I could pour more water into the pitcher. He said, but that's not going to make it disappear. I said, exactly. I said, you're going to need like a lake or a river. Because then when that little sock and that little glass and that little bit of flour that has not dissolved gets in a river, what happens to the water that is your life? He says it drowns it out. I said, the ultimate goal is what? You need more what? He said, I need more water. I said, no. You need more focus on your own life. I said, sir, the only thing thicker than water is dysfunction. And unfortunately, dysfunction is the only disease that travels from person to person with no to little human interaction needed. I said, you're interacting with your family who are absolutely pouring thing after thing into your life. And all this is doing is mutating more dysfunction. And I said, I'll take it further. Dysfunction can absolutely dilute the thickness of blood. Because the reality is, we say blood is thicker than water, but we don't realize that blood can be drowned out if we pour more into ourselves and we don't allow more blood to be poured into us than we allow water to be poured into us. So when people make that statement, blood is thicker than water, it's great when blood recognizes that their job is not to overtake water, but to complement water. Because the minute anything that is added into your life begins to overtake your life, then this thing that we think is thicker than water becomes dysfunctional water. He put his hands on his head and said, Doc, I don't know how you came up with this. I said, this is what makes family dysfunction so intense, sir. I said, what makes family dysfunction so intense is that family dysfunction is the only disease that mutates in silence. The fact that you don't address it, that you allow it to take place, that you do not acknowledge it, that you give them a pass to continue to violate your boundaries and the standards that you now have for a new life post the passing of your wife, even your silence is giving them permission to add more dysfunction to your life, which is why they haven't stopped asking you to pay their bills. They haven't stopped asking you to run their errands when you barely can handle your business and your two healthy children. I said, sir, you're doing this to yourself. And what we refuse to address eventually, when you're dealing with family who don't mind pouring things into the water, what we refuse to address eventually will grow strong over time. He said, Doc, then how can I get rid of this picture? He said, I can't become a lake. I said, I got a solution. I said, I want you to walk right over there to that sink and I want you to pour it all out. More tears started coming down his face. Very sweet moment. He gets up, he pours it into the sink. He comes back. I said, what do you see in the picture? He said, I see remnants of what was there. I said, what do you think we ought to be doing? He said, we ought to be pouring back into ourselves. I said, when we pour back into ourselves, what's going to happen to the remnants? He said, they're going to dissolve. I said, sir, the only thing thicker than water is dysfunction. And don't you ever allow family members or anybody else to pour so much junk into you that you begin to lose you in the process. He's set new boundaries. We've worked on creating new boundaries for his life and for his children and his family, though reluctantly in the beginning, is learning how to respect who he is as a man and as a father. I hope this story made sense. If it did, type church in the comments with 3 R's. And then remember, you've got 2 jobs. 1, be better today than what you were yesterday. And 2, don't forget what I told you.
What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb. Listen, I've been dying to make this announcement for a very long time now, and I'm pleased to say that Inspire Nation has officially launched. Yes, we finally got a Facebook and YouTube community group where we're going to have exclusive content, exclusive shorts, exclusive discussion prompts, where we're going to engage with other people literally around the world who are on the same healing journey that we're on. I need you to go find these pages right now on Facebook and YouTube. Inspire Nation, follow the page, join the group, introduce yourself, and be prepared to link up with literally thousands of people around the world who are on the same healing journey, who are looking for the same resources, and who want to also be surrounded with other like-minded individuals who are growing in the same direction as you are. I'm so excited about this because it's the beginning of some great things I can't talk about right now. Listen, you got two jobs. One, be better today than what you were yesterday. And two, don't forget what I told you.